Hello everyone, this is Dr. Rachita Misra speaking to you on your software engineering course. Today in this lesson, we will be discussing on the risk management and specifically we will be speaking on identification, that is risk identification. The topics that we will cover are the reactive and proactive risk management, risk categorization. Among the categorizations, we will look into project technical business risks and the known predicted and unpredicted risks. Then we will come to the risk identification, different methods. We will look into the checklist, questionnaire. Then we'll look into risk drivers impact on the risk components. So what is reactive risk management? We all know that risk is an uncertain event. And the other thing that is important about risk is that it will create adverse impact on the software project when it is incident. In general, risk will create adverse impact. Here we are only talking about software projects. So we are talking of certain uncertain events which will create adverse impact on our software project, and we call it as software risk, and we have to see how to manage it. It is a hazard and it may create unrecoverable damage. So that means there may not be enough ways to recover whatever is the damage that happened to the software. And often what happens is project teams react to the risk only when it occurs or is incident during the project execution. So although everybody knows that risks will happen, risks are uncertain, but they are certain to happen. So when they will happen, how they will happen, what will be the impact, that may be uncertain, but definitely some risk will always come. We know that whenever we do some work, some problems will come, which will have a adverse impact, a negative impact on the project. So although we know it, what we do not think about it beforehand, and we say, okay, let it come. So we keep having an attitude that only when the problem comes, I will deal with it. So why bother about it? So that is what is called as a reactive risk management. So when project teams react to risks only when it occurs or is incident, when the project is in execution phase, it is progressing, that is called as a reactive risk management. So more commonly, the software team does not even think about the risk until something goes wrong for the project. So even if a risk has come, they realize that some problem may be there, but they don't do anything until something goes wrong, some problem it is manifested, the impact of the risk is manifested in the result of the project. Till that time, they don't take any action. So this kind of managing the risk is called reactive risk management. And when it happens, what do the team does? When it starts giving some impact, something wrong goes on in the project, then they wake up. And then they go to a firefighting mode. They try to put in all the resources that they have, all the effort they can do. Then they will go to the firefighting mode. And when the firefighting will also fail, then automatically it will get escalated and it will go to the management. So what will happen is a crisis management has to happen. But by that time, already the project has failed. So this is what will happen if you have a attitude of not planning the risks, not thinking about it earlier, not taking action at the right time, and taking action only when the risk is incident and has created some negative impact, then it is called a reactive risk management. And definitely, as you all can understand, it is not a good way, because the project involves a lot of investment and a lot of future business depends on the project. So it is not a good thing to sleep over risks and have a reactive risk management. So what we need to have is a proactive risk management. That means before the risk is coming, we have to be active. So that is what is the meaning of proactive. So in the proactive strategy, what happens? A risk management starts before the technical work is initiated. Here, earlier, it happens only when it is incident, and some problem has come and some problem is already manifested. Complaints have started coming and delivery schedules have slipped. That time people are waking up and doing firefighting and crisis management. But in proactive risk management, people take cognizance of the fact that risks are a factor of the project and they will definitely come. And therefore, what they do before any technical work is initiated, they will start the risk management activities. Whatever are the activities that have to be done, the steps, they will start taking it. Potential risks are identified, their probability and impact are assessed, and they are ranked by importance. So that is what is known as the proactive risk. So the planning happens, risk planning happens before the technical work is initiated. And when the risk planning happens, what they do, they try to find out what are the potential risks. That means what can happen, what can go wrong. So all those things are identified. Then once you have identified what is probability, that means what is the frequency that it may occur, what is the likelihood that it may occur, and impact means how much damage it will create. So these two things are calculated and all the identified risks are ranked by the importance of, so that we can prioritize it. So the software team establishes a plan for managing each of these risks which are identified and important. So, and what is the plan? What is the plan include? It includes a prevention measure, how to reduce having that risk. That is a prevention. That means we are trying to avoid, by taking certain measures, we try to avoid the risk, or we try to reduce its probability of occurrence. And then there are remedial actions, because there are some, even if you take preventive actions, it may still happen. So in that case, what is the remedial action we can do? What is the fallback measure that we can do? So this kind of plan is done. The primary objective is to avoid the risk. Preventive measures are worked out and put in action to avoid the risk incident or reduce the probability or its impact on the project performance. What are the major project performances that a project manager has to bother, or the team has to bother? That is the delivery schedule, the cost, that is the budget. The cost has to be within the budget, and the quality requirements of the work product. Then, because all risks cannot be avoided, some contingency plan has to be done. And these are the plans which you have to follow when the risk becomes incident, whatever you do. And it will help in controlling the effect of the risk. That is the measures that is written in the contingency plans. So what are software risks? How they will come? So we all know that there are two characteristics of the software risk. So let's define it. One is the uncertainty. That means there is a uncertainty factor. There is a probability. You can assign a probability to the risk, whether it will happen or not happen. What is the chance or likelihood that it will happen? So some risks, the likelihood will be high, and some risks the likelihood will be very low. But all the same, a low low likelihood risk may have a very heavy damage. So that is why the loss part is also there. If the risk becomes reality, some unwanted consequences or loss will happen, or the damage will happen, because all risks are hazards. So that kind of figure, if it can be quantified, then either it will be qualified or it will be quantified, then we call it a loss. So these two things are important for every risk. When the risks are analyzed, it is important to quantify the level, so uncertainty of the degree of loss. So that is what I was telling. The loss is degree of loss associated with each risk. You can assign some kind of a level of uncertainty or a percentage of the uncertainty, and for the loss you can determine the degree of loss. So the degree of loss can be qualitative or quantitative. To accomplish this, different categories of types of risk are considered. So we have seen the uncertainty is one measure we are taking. Normally it is a probability percentage, and the loss we are determining the degree of loss in terms of either numbers or qualitatively whether it is high, low or medium. And then we have to identify these risks. So to identify these risks, we need to know how it will come, what we will do, where we will investigate, where we will put our focus. So for that reason, first we need to know what are the different types of risks that can happen. So according to the source, depending on the source of the risk, from which area it will come, we can categorize it into project risk, technical risk and business risk. And if you take the type of uncertainty on the risk, then we can say known risks, predictable risks, and unpredictable risks. So these are two different criteria we have used to categorize the risks. So what is project risk? Project risk threatens the project plan. And that is, if the project risk becomes a reality, then the project schedule will slip and the cost will escalate. So what are the type of project risks we can have? So project risks identify some kind of uncertainty in the budget, whether we can meet it, on the schedule, whether it is realistic or not, whether we can meet it, the personnel, that is the staffing, the resources that have been put into it, and the organization, how it is team is organized, or how is it reporting to the management. And the resources include human resources and other resources. Customer related activities, those could pose a project risk. And the requirements problems, so the requirements on stability, requirement clarity, requirement change, so those are also part of the project risk because they are specific to the particular project. And all these kind of things will create impact on the software project, and mostly it will affect the schedule and the cost. Some other factors that could come, these are the primary factors. Some other factors may come, they have indirect impact. So those could be the project size or the complexity and degree of structural uncertainty. That means the way you have decomposed into the architecture, that may not be very good. So when we are working on the technical matters, some of the technical, if part of the project as a whole, that may create some project risks. Then we come to the technical risks. In the technical risks occur the quality and timeliness of the software to be produced. It means mainly it is the quality and also the timeliness. And technical risks identify potential problems in design, implementation, interfaces, verification, and also in the maintenance. So the way we have designed it, the way we have implemented it, the way we have created our user interfaces, the way we have tested it or verified, validated it, or in the way we are operating it or maintaining it, each of these areas can create some technical problems which will get identified as the risks. So here, these are also project activities, but during this activity, some technical risk will come. When we discussed the project risk, it was the overall project parameters which may create problem or the characteristics of the project. Then there could be some additional factors such as ambiguity in specification. This may lead to technical problems, technical uncertainty or a lack of knowledge of the team members or even the project manager, uncertainty for leading edge or emerging technology. So if you have a very new technology, it may not be very stable. It may have some areas which are still gray and not very well understood. So that kind of instability or uncertainty will give rise to risks. So if a technical risk becomes a reality, what will happen? The implementation of the project will become difficult and also become difficult or even impossible. And even if it is possible, then there will be lot of quality issues. Then we come to the business risk. So business is something that the user is doing, the customer is doing. So these come from the customer side, whereas the project risk and technical risks are more or less controllable by the project team. Normally, business risks are beyond the scope of the software or the software team. So here what happens? Businesses are uncertain events that originate from the business scenario and that threaten the feasibility of the software to be built and often jeopardize the product or the project. That means in the very beginning itself, the project may be cancelled due to feasibility reasons, or even if it is progressing, then in the middle it may get stopped, or the product may be discarded, even though it is completed. So these are very difficult risks to handle, but it will happen once in a while. So that is why one has to be very careful with the business people. When you get the requirements, when you get the commitments, when you get the order or the business from them, we have to be very careful that business risks do not unnecessarily create problem, risks, and jeopardize our project. So let's look at some of the top 5 business risks which has been given by many project managers. These are marketing side risks, like by building excellent product or a system, but that no one really wants. That means marketing survey has not been done, but the system has been built and it is a very excellent system. So if you think about the software, it is a very successful software, but there is no one to buy it because it is not required. The demand is not there. So that is a marketing risk because demand study has not been done. Building a product that no longer fits into the overall business strategy for the company. So by the time the thing is built, the strategy has changed. So it is no longer required. The objective is no longer valid. So the product is built, but it is still unsuccessful. That means it will not be put into use. So that's a strategic risk. Then you have selling risk. That means maybe some demand was there, but the sales force is not capable of selling it to the right people. So marketing has done its job, but the sales people are not able to do it because they don't understand it. That means we have not trained the sales people to do what kind of sales they will do, what is the advantage of the product, how it will be sold. That we have not informed them. Losing the support of the senior management due to a change in the focus or change in the people. So this is a management risk. So if this happens, then the management will not provide the support, and in that case you will not be able to resolve risks and problems. Losing budgetary or personal commitment, this is a very important thing, because if this happens, normally it happens because of management change. So if this happens or any other crisis in the economy, then what will happen? The budget itself will be stopped. If the budget is not flowing, if the money is not flowing as per the budget, then you have to stop the project. Then we come to known, predictable, and unpredictable risks. So what is known risk? Known risks are those that can be uncovered by careful evaluation of the project artifacts, such as plan, business and technical environment, and this kind of information. The visual things that we are obvious things, they are very obvious things, and they are visual. So by looking at them, we know, okay, this may happen, known risks. And other reliable information like unrealistic delivery date, lack of documented requirements, software scope, poor development environment. Everybody knows that such kind of things happens, and so they are called as known risks. Then comes the predictable risks. So these are those that can be generalized from past project experience. So they are not so common, not always known. But if you go to the past project history, the archival or the repository, then you will see that past projects have faced certain risks, which is possibly project related or management related or something, and those can be predicted. So you can look into the history and predict them. So therefore, they are predictable risks. So some examples are staff turnover, poor communication with customer, or customers availability. So those kind of things are predictable risks. They have happened in the past, so they may recur. And then there are some risks which are unpredictable. They are like some exceptional situations. They may happen once in a while, and they can occur sometimes, but they are extremely difficult to identify in advance. But we have to be aware that unpredictable risks will also come. So known risks and predictable risks we can identify very easily. It is difficult to identify unpredictable risks, but we should be aware that it happens. Then let us come to the risk management process. So let's come to the risk management process. So what do we know? So now we have understood what is the risk. We have understood what will be the impact, what is probability, certain terms regarding to risk. And we have also categorized the risks according to the source, from which source it will come, or the way it will be aware. The way it is, the predictability of the risk may differ. So we can categorize it. Now let us see what is risk management process. What actually we do in the risk management process. So obviously, as you are aware now, the first step is the risk identification. And once we have identified the risk, we have to do a risk projection. That means we have to estimate what is the damage from that risk, because we have to go to the probability and the impact and determine. And also we have to assess. That means we have to prioritize this risk. We have to check where it will create the problem, how important it is to handle it. And so we will do a assessment. So this is like taking a decision, and this is like doing a arithmetic estimation. Then we will do some risk refinement, and we will do the risk handling. So risk handling is the major part. So risk handling includes three types of activities. Mitigation, that means we try to reduce the probability or avoid the risk. Then monitoring, that means we have to see whether the risk is coming. If it has come, what was the impact and all. So we will keep monitoring other activities to see if risk is likely to happen. And once it happens, then we have to go into the management of that particular risk. So today in this lesson, we will concentrate on the risk identification, and in the subsequent lessons, we will look into the other activities. So what is risk identification? Risk identification is a systematic attempt to specify threats to the project plan, that is estimate, schedule, resource and loading. And and how it is done? Mostly it is identification is done by looking into the known and predictable risks that can happen. And because by doing this, what the project manager will be able to achieve, he can try to avoid them whenever it is possible, or plan some measures to control them when necessary. So this will come under the management, and this will be before it is, this is both are management, but this is before it is incident, and this is after it is incident. So the first and foremost will be determine all the known and predictable risks, and once you have known it, then try to avoid them. So take some measures for it, that is the preventive measures. And even if you do it, then some will still come, or some unknown risks will come, unpredictable risks will come. So then you have to control them. So you have to plan some measures to control. So this planning is done upfront. This is what is the important thing. So initially we do the planning. After identification, we do the planning for the management of it, how to handle it. Then when it actually comes, then we really manage it. So less like a project, we first plan it, and then we slowly design and construct it. Similarly, it is the same thing with risks. We have to first identify what are its constituents. Then we have to plan the measures that we will do, and this planning measure could be the avoidance measures or the mitigation measures and the controlling measures. So then once you have made the plan, you have to keep on monitoring it, and then when it is incident, you have to control them. So this is what the project manager has to do. If he has identified the risks, then he can go into these steps. Otherwise, he cannot. So two distinct types of risks are considered at this stage. When you do the risk identification, the project manager has to look into generic risks and product specific risks. This is another way of categorizing it. It is not, again, you have to go to the source and do it. And you have to do the known and predictable risks. But what are generic risks? Generic risks are potential threat to every software project. So you can do it by looking at the past project. And product specific risks that can be identified by understanding the technology, people, environment specific to the project at hand. So these are mostly project related risks, and these are generic risks which are common to other areas. So these will be mostly project and technical risks, and these will be common risks, known risks, and unpredictable risks that has happened in the past projects. To identify product specific risks, the project plan and the software statement scope will be examined, and there are some methods which people have listed how to do this. So because this is a generic risk, you can go and look into the past project and you can determine it. But product specific risk, you have to do some analysis. So to do that analysis, every time the project manager will not be able to focus or put his mind to everything, or even the team member, they will now, whoever is analyzing, determining the risk in the project, they will not be able to think, because we are after all human brain. So there are a lot of shortcomings in the human brain. So if we don't make it structured, the analysis and identification, we don't make it structured, then what will happen? There is a likelihood chance that we will miss out some of the risks. So that is why people, what they do, they create some checklists first. And with that checklist, they try to examine that checklist and see what kind of risk may come, and if that type of risk will come, what is the nature of the risk, that is, what is the probability and the impact of it. So let's look at the item checklist, risk item checklist. The checklist can be used for risk identification, focusing on a subset of the known and predictable risks in the following areas. So these are the areas we have to examine. First one is the size, risk with the overall size of the software. So because size will give complexity, and it will give planning problems, and it may create delivery problems. So that kind of risks related to size, what are the type of risks? Then you come to the business impact, risk associated with constraints imposed by the management or the marketplace. So this will take care of some of the business scenarios which may create risks. So those also are some of the known and predictable risks. Then customer characteristics. What is the culture? What is the maturity of the customer to deal with projects and software, and the developer's ability also to communicate. So all these things, anything that is to be related with the customer, those things are to be examined by using a. So one has to create the checklist in these areas. And actually, you will be surprised to know that those organizations which are in the habit of, in the practice of doing projects, software projects continuously, they have this checklist. They have a lot of checklists. Checklists are very good tools to do any activity in a very structured manner, especially for in the project management. Checklists are very much in use. So we have to see some old checklist, and for your particular project, you have to consider these areas, and in these areas, you have to actually develop your own project-specific checklist. Then you have the customer, then you have the process definition, the risk associated with the degree to which the software process has been defined, the level. If the level is not correct, then all the kind of scheduling and resource allocation, effort allocation, all those problems will come, and the milestones will not be properly satisfied. So these kind of things, this is totally involved to the organization and the development team. This is between the customer and the organization. This is totally the business, and this is certain product characteristics. So we are taking product characteristics, business characteristics, customer characteristics, and the project process characteristics. 4 areas we can investigate and determine a checklist which will take into account different items into these areas, and then in those areas we will try to identify the known risks and the predictable risks. So again, we will go to the development environment, the technology to be built, and the staff size and experience. So we have shown 4 here, and 3 more are there. So risks associated with the environment, that means the tools, and the here you will have the technology, that is the what is the kind of software we are using, what is the kind of integration it provides. Is there anything in the development? We will also look at some of the reuse, whether reuse libraries are available or not. Tools are productivity increasing methods. Unless you have tools, there will not be consistency, and communication will be a problem. So all these things, that availability and quality of these things are a development environment. And similarly, the complexity of the system and the newness of the technology, that will be the technology kind of risks. And then you come to the project team, you have the staff size and the experience. So the staff size means it is the number of resources you get. When you come to experience, that could be the technical skills and also the project experience. So unless these things match the project and the product requirement, there will be problem. So mostly it is very difficult to get an exact match, because always availability of right kind of resource is a problem in any software project. So definitely there will be risks. So these are the areas where you have to go, and you know that there are known and predicted risks, so you have to find out. So the item checklist can be organized either as a questionnaire on the above items, which can be answered by the software team or the stakeholder. So the software team and the stakeholder will have to sit in a brainstorming sessions, or they have to sit in small discussion forums and decide by taking the checklist, keep on asking, keep on investigating, keep on examining, and determine this. Now, researchers have given many such checklists available in the literature. Although repositories are there with the project, also a lot of software engineering researchers, they have done some work and they have also given. So this is one of the ways, questionnaire. This is kind of a checklist, a questionnaire method of checklist. Identifying risk has been obtained by surveying experienced project managers around the world. So some researchers have done this. They have gone to the experienced project managers, and when they have asked them, they have said, we will try to answer these questions, and by answering these questions we will know what is the risk. So these questions become a part of the checklist. So let's look at them to know what this is. Have the top software customer managers committed to the support? So the commitment of the support is the key essence here. So if the commitment is not there, that means there is a risk. Are end users enthusiastically committed to the product build? So again, here the commitment is there, but now we are looking at the end user, whether they are enthusiastic about the product. So how is their reaction to the product? Are they really looking forward to it, or they are not so bothered about it, whether the product is built or not? So if they are not, then there is a high risk, because they may not accept it, they may reject it. So that commitment is required. If the customer manager is not committed, then the funding may stop, or something may happen. They may reject it, and they may say that it is not feasible. So then those are the risks. Are requirements fully understood by the team and the customer? This is requirement related risk. Have customers been fully involved in the definition of the requirement? So who is doing the requirement is also important, whether it is being done by the customer or not in cooperation with the team, and whether the team has understood it, also the customer has understood it. So both ways, team and customer, because customers always many times misunderstand the requirement. They give something which is not suitable for the specification. Do end users have realistic expectation? If they have unrealistic expectation, then it is difficult to meet. Is project scope stable? Are the project requirements stable, or there is a lot of change in the scope itself and also in the detail of the requirements? Do the software engineers have the right skill mix? Does the project team have experience on the technology? And is the number of people on the project team adequate? So this is all about the resource of the project. Adequacy, the kind of skill they have, the kind of experience they have. Do all customers, users, constituencies agree on the importance of the project and on the requirements of the product? So whether the objective is there, whether it will satisfy their need, whether it is supported by the management, and whether it will be and the requirement of the product, both. So whether they are also agreeing on the requirement of the product, not only that they are involved, but at the end of the requirement engineering, they have to see it and approve it. So that commitment will come only if you do this. So if this questionnaire becomes a kind of a checklist. Then once we have done this, so we have seen the way to prepare a checklist. We have seen some of actual how the checklist is made by doing this questionnaire form. And then another thing that is another kind of guideline that has come by US Air Force, which also does a lot of software, is that for identification of software risk, they have given some guidelines. What does it say? It says that project manager needs to identify the risk drivers, that is the risk items. And not only that, you have to identify the risk items, you have to find its the degree to which they affect the software risk components. So when you determine the risk drivers, to determine the impact, you have to see these components. How do they impact each of these components? So they are extending the identification, and they are also saying that when you identify, after identifying, give focus to these four areas, four components of the software or software project, and see which one they are impacting and how high is the impact. So these four areas are performance risk, cost risk, support risk, and schedule risk. The degree of uncertainty that the product will meet the intended requirements best fit for use. So that is the performance, whether it is fit for use or not. So what is the uncertainty in that? Similarly, degree of uncertainty that project will be completed within the budget. And what is the support that will be required? Degree of uncertainty that the resultant maintenance activities of the software will be easy. So how good is the support? Corrective action, maintenance, adaptive maintenance, and enhancements, changes, extension. So all this kind of support, how the risk will affect this support, and similarly how it will affect the schedule. The degree of uncertainty that the project schedule will be met. The impact of the risk drivers for each of the above component can be qualitatively described as negligible. This is their recommendation, the US Air Force in the guideline. Negligible, that means very low. Marginal, which is low. Critical, that means high. And catastrophic, that means it is very high. So once you have done it, you have to examine these areas, these components, which one they are affecting, and say how they are affecting, what is the level of effect, or what is the degree of the impact. The risk thus identified can be documented in a tabular fashion, showing the risk driver, that is from which source the risk is coming, what is the risk item, and what is its impacts against these components. So they have given some sample kind of this table for identifying and documenting it for that. So if you see this, these are the category of the risks: catastrophic, critical, marginal, and negligible. And these are the items, software risk components, performance, support, cost, and schedule. And what is written here are the actual risks. So we have components here, we have categories here, and you have the risk item, the driver. failure to meet the requirement would result in a mission failure. Non-responsiveness or unsupportable software. Similarly, possible slippage, sufficient functional resources. So those kind of things are there. So you have to say which one it is meeting, and whether it is catastrophic or whether it is critical or marginal. So you can see in this one, these risks are catastrophic and they are impacting these components. Similarly, in critical risks are written here, and they are in which risk component they are impacting is there, it is mentioned. So this is one way, tabular way, which has been recommended by the US Air Force guideline to document after identifying the risk. This is how you can document it so that people can understand and people can do the other risk planning activities. And so we have come to the summary of the we have come to the end of the session of this lesson. And what we have mentioned till now is that we have understood what is proactive and what is reactive risks, and it is always better to do the proactive risk management than being reactive to risks to avoid a crisis. And we also categorize the risks based on the basis of the source, that is project, technical and business risks, and on the predictability of it, that is known, predicted and unpredicted. Then we look at the risk management steps, and we said that risk identification is the first step, and it is a very, very important step because unless you identify the risk, you cannot proceed further in the risk management. And if you have not risk identified, then obviously the risk will come and you will be in the crisis mode. So different methods are used for the identification of the risk. There is no one good method. There are many ways you can do it. And we discussed some of it, like the checklist, what are the areas the checklist should focus on. And also we looked into a questionnaire method that has been recommended. And then we discussed the guideline that has been recommended to assess the degree of impact of each of the risk driver on 4 important risk components. And we have seen this table for that risk components, if you remember. And then we have seen, and then we have said that this impact, after doing this, we have to go to the impact. So what is the impact or the damage? That can be stated qualitatively, and that qualitativeness can be very low, high and very high, or you can in the guidelines they say negligible, marginal, critical and catastrophic. So in this lesson, we have discussed about generally about the risks. What are the risks, from where it comes, what is the problem if you don't do it, what are the different types of management. Then we have come to the risk identification, and we have dealt with the risk identification. Now in the subsequent lessons, what we will do, we will go into the other steps of the risk management. And we will look into what are the activities that we will do there and what is the kind of documentation we will use so that the risk management will be successful. So thank you all, and we will discuss in the later sessions in a later time. Thank you.